So you want to be a Hayato. So you want to be fast, flashy, and embrace your inner samurai. Then you've come to the right class. In the beginner tab, we have a passive, and then we have Shimada Heart, which for every 100 defense you have, you gain 0.5 damage. Right now I have 8,400 something defense, so I'm getting a 42% damage increase. Quick Draw. Quick Draw, I don't believe... You might be able to use it before third job, but I'm just going to say you can't use it till third job. I'm not sure, it's been a while. But when you use Quick Draw, you get an aura around your feet. And every time you switch from normal mode and Quick Draw mode, like there's two different stances, you use up 100 energy, which is in this sword over here. And this is the boss mode. So your attacks, or your main attack, instead of hitting multiple monsters, only attacks one, but it's a lot faster. So, I guess, should I go over this already? So it'll change the properties of some of your attacks. As you saw down here, Summer Rain turns into Hitokiri 100 Strike. And it's the same skill, it just has a different animation. This one looks a lot cooler, but they do the same thing. Hits 15 enemies 10 times, and it gives you a 15% damage increase for 2 minutes when you use it. And you can only use this skill when you have 1,000 sword energy. So, quick note, when you're in the quick stance and you have the aura around your feet, the aura will actually get you killed by a damage reflect. Why that's still a thing, I don't know, but just be careful around enemies with damage reflect, or bosses. So since I'm on the topic, I might as well explain it now. As you fill your sword with energy, you get extra stats that you see here. When you're in the normal stance, which is, the mobbing mode, you get, for having no energy at all, you get what you see here, which is 1% attack and magic. Attack, power, of course. HP and MP, 20%. Defense ignored 9%, and 80% stance. However, when you get it all the way to 1,000, it goes from 1% attack and magic attack to 8%. The defense you ignore goes to 25%, and everything else is the same. Now when you're into the bossing mode, you'll see that you lose the stance, but you gain 6 boss attack, which I don't know if that means like percent. Here, let's actually check. Let's see, so right now I have... Yeah, so it's 6%. So 6% boss, you get 1 attack speed, and there's a chance to stun enemies, which is 30%, and you also get 30% crit rate, and then the bottom one just says, how much damage you do with the aura around your feet. It says it only applies when Hayato is third job, which makes me think you can't actually use this until third job, but maybe you can, I don't know. You'll see when you play the class. But anyway, when you have 1,000, and you're in this quick draw stance or the bossing mode, when you have 1,000 sword energy, 6 boss attack goes to 10, and the 30% chance for stun and the 30% crit rate goes to 50%. And then the damage that you do to enemies that are hit by the aura just gets increased by 100%. Alright, anything else I want to explain? Okay, so I haven't actually gone over the skills yet, but I'm just going to say that you can actually combine 3 skills before even... how do I put it? If I were to use one of my skills, I don't know, this skill or something. I think that's Whirlwind Cut. And then I use something like Hitokiri Strike. I can actually use both of these skills before they even come out. It'll stock... Stock? Is that the word? It'll save 3 inputs. So if I input 3 different skills, they'll all activate. But on the first frame it's available to activate. So if I do Whirlwind Cut and Dankusen, then Dankusen will come out as soon as it's available to come out. So I'm going to press them really quickly together, so 1, 2, and you'll see that it'll activate as soon as it can. Compared to if I do it and then wait for the animation and then press the button. But you can do that for 3 skills. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. It makes mobbing really good later on. But anyway, enough about future skills. Let's go ahead and move into first job. Is that really all I wanted to say? Yeah, I guess so. Anything else, I'll probably just say it in the middle. So, the first skill you get is Sanrenzan, which is your main mobbing skill, and then when you're in quick stance, or, yeah, the quick stance, it turns into Blade Flash. And this is pretty much your main skill. Short-ranged in first job, but as you keep advancing, it gets longer and longer range. In first job, it does 2 lines on the first hit, 3 lines on the second hit, and 4 lines on the third hit. And of course the damage goes up with each of the hits. Anything else I want to mention with this? Not really. I mean, you're mainly going to be spamming it for the most part. Later on you don't have to. Like, you can train just by spamming it, but I like to train with using a lot of skills. Like, that's what I like about Hayato. It's a combo class, but it doesn't have to be a combo class. Or, it's a combo class that's not actually a combo class, but it has like the same properties. Anyway. Surging Blade. Now, Surging Blade... That was Booster I just used. But anyway, Surging Blade, when you use it, gives you invincibility until like the last hit or whatever. And what it does is just moves you forward. So you can dash through enemies, you can use it up to 4 times. On the 4th strike, however, you get like this long delay before you can use it again. So what I like to do is just use 3 hits of it. And then I can use the... let me just get rid of these guys, because they're making me lag. Okay, so I can use 3 hits and then go straight into doing 3 more hits again. So instead of doing the 4th hit, you just do 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this is actually a really good way to travel. Because it not only gives you invincibility, but it's a lot faster than just using Flash Jump. Speaking of Flash Jump, this is a passive, we get Bato Jutsu Leap, which is your Flash Jump. You can use it twice, doesn't go very far, but you know, you can do it twice, which is good. They actually didn't used to have, they didn't have a Flash Jump for the longest time, and they finally gave it to them. And of course, when in bossing mode, or quick stance, the mobbing skill that I showed before becomes Blade Flash, which has really good horizontal range, but not very good vertical range. And your Flash Jump becomes Batojutsu Dash, which when you press left or right 2 times, you'll dash in the direction that you press. Which is a great time to use Surging Blade. Okay. What do we have next? Shoryusen. So Shoryusen will launch enemies into the air, and that's about it. Until 3rd job, and then you'll see you can actually combo it with other skills. But yeah, it just launches enemies into the air, and that's about it. For now. Batojutsu Advance. When you press this skill, it will activate 8 skills. And sometimes it activates all of them, sometimes it doesn't. I've actually stopped using this skill, because every time I use one of the skills that's listed, out of the 8 skills that are listed, it'll give you the buff anyway. So I'll tell you what it does. For every time that you use one of the skills that's in the list, you gain 2% attack. And... how do I put it? So the way that it was supposed to work is you press the skill, and then you wait, press it again, and then you press the rest of it. And he goes through all 8 skills, and then you get the, percent attack or whatever from it. But I think they made a change to it. I'm not sure if it was meant to change this way. But I can use Surging Blade over and over again, and you'll see up here that I'm continuing to get stacks. Or if I use any of the other skills that are listed in the thing, I continue to get stacks. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but I like it better that way because I like to use a lot of the other skills instead of having to press this button that doesn't even work most of the time. And that's it for first job. Moving on to second job. Sanrenzan becomes much longer ranged. And of course it has Jin in the name. I think the next one is Fu, and then the last one is Rai. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It gets more damage and it gets longer range. The fourth job version is a lot better, but you'll see. Again, 2, 3, and 4 hits. Military Might is pretty much your first buff. Then you also get Katana Booster, but this increases your HP and MP by 20%, your attack power by 15, and your speed and jump by your speed by 20 and your jump by 10. Vapor Blade. This is very annoying when you're going through a portal, because I like to spam up because, you know, I lag, so I need to make sure I get through a portal when I need to. But if you press up twice on a portal, you'll use Vapor Blade. And that's really annoying. I wish that there was a way to right-click it, like with Aaron, and you can like take off the command. I wish there was a way to get rid of the command, so I could just press the button when I want to use it. But yeah, you could put it on your key, but you still have the command. So anyway, this I mainly use it just as vertical range, and the reason that you see me attacking after I use it is because if you don't, then you pretty much can't do anything else in the air until you land. And you fall pretty fast too. So in order for me to... Let me see, can I use... No, I can't use that in the air. So in order for me to use any other skills in the air, I would have to cancel the animation of Vapor Blades falling. Here, let me see, what other skills do we get? Rising... Oh, we get Falcon Dive. So if I wanted to use, let's say, Falcon Dive. So I'm going to use this, and I'm holding down Falcon Dive, and he's not doing it. Now, if I press the attack key, or do, you know, the main mobbing skill, then I can use Falcon Dive. So it's a way to cancel the animation and use whatever other skills I want to use. Alright, so let's move on to the other skills. What do we got? Katana Booster increases your attack speed by 2. Passive, Rising Slash. I never use it. I've never used it. It just launches enemies into the air, and that's it. It can be used in combo with Falcon Dive, but it's not really worth it. Doesn't really do anything except look cool. I don't know. I didn't really like it, that skill. But yeah, just launches enemies into the air. And then Falcon Dive, you've already seen, is a good way to, like, if you miss a platform, or if you want to launch yourself higher, it's a good way to get to the platform. So let's say I missed this platform, I missed the jump, then I can use Falcon Dive, because it launches you into the air before diving down. Or let's say I want to get to the top platform from here. Clearly I can't make that. If I use Falcon Dive, then I can. Alright. Is that all the second job skills? I believe it is. So now moving into third job, you get the third version of the skill. And again, it's just longer range. Still does 2 hits on the first hit, and 3 on the second, and 4 on the third hit. But it is a lot longer ranged, as you'll notice. And yeah, of course the bossing version of it is longer range as well. Alright, so then we move on to Sweeping Sword. And this skill will make you jump forward, and then jump back, dragging any enemies that were in between where you were, back to back to your original spot. So it's great for mob control. So that guy's all the way over there, I can bring him close with this. It also gives you invincibility. So that's 2 skills now that have invincibility that I've shown. Surging Blade, and that, whatever it's called, Sweeping Sword? Yeah. Then you get Whirlwind Cut. Again, has invincibility. This class gets a lot of invincibility. Although the invincibility ends right at the end of the animation. And what it does is it pushes enemies. So Sweeping Sword pulls them in, and then Whirlwind Cut pushes them away. Or pushes them in front of you, basically. Passive, when you dodge, you gain damage. And it stacks 5 times. Merciless Blade, you just bleed enemies, pretty much like poison, but you make them bleed instead. Healing skill. Dankusen. So Dankusen is probably one of my favorite skills because you just dash past the enemy and do damage. Like, I love it. And something I didn't mention yet is if you use Shoryusen, which is the first job skill, in combination with either Whirlwind Cut or Dankusen, you'll kind of like teleport to the enemies while they're in the air. So here we go, and then it'll teleport you to where the enemies are. The thing is that you have to press it pretty quickly in order for it to actually make contact. Because let's see. So I'm gonna do Dankusen with it. So if you delay it too much, you'll do the animation, but you won't actually hit the enemies. Here, let me do it on these guys up here. So as you can see, I did the animation, but I didn't actually hit them. So you have to press it very quickly afterwards in order for it to actually hit. And same goes for Whirlwind Cut. You have to press it pretty fast after the other skill, after Shoryusen. Although I don't do that combo. If you do that combo, it actually gives Whirlwind Cut, what was it? 100% crit rate. So I mean, that's a reason to use it, right? But I never really needed to use it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention something about the sword energy, like how to gain it, but whatever, I'll get to it later when I do 4th job. And let's see, anything else I want to mention here? All critical hits when you combine it. Yep. Okay. Alright, let's move on to 4th job. So in 4th job, you get the final version of Sanrenzan, which is very long range, like extremely long range, and of course, Blade Flash is also very long range. Doesn't have much vertical range, but horizontally, it hits like, I believe, to the edge of this, or was it? I think to the edge of this. All right, so now things are going to get interesting. So yeah, instead of doing 2, 3, and 4 hits, now it does 3, 4, and 4 hits. There's also a 20% chance to do extra damage, so you kind of get 4 hits after it. Even though there's only 3 swings, there's a chance that you get 4 hits. And because it's so fast... Oh god, he's here to scream. Please don't scream. Please don't scream. So because there's... yeah, he's screaming. Why is he screaming? So because there's originally 3 hits and then, you know, the extra 4th hit, it becomes very strong. And for Blade Flash, there's nothing really special about it. It just does a lot of damage 4 times on one enemy. So next we have Shinsoku, and you can only use this skill when you're in the quick stance, or the bossing mode. Oh, I put it over here. And it's a hold down skill. You can move around with it, you can jump with it, or never mind. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you can jump with it. And it does 2 lines, mine does 3 because of a hyper passive. And it's actually not stronger than Rai. I'm gonna just call it Rai. Like when you're bossing, this skill is actually stronger than Shinsoku. Even though this one attacks faster, Shinsoku. The main reason you would use Shinsoku is to be able to hit enemies that are out of your reach when you're using Blade Flash. Or you just want to hit enemies as soon as they're available to be hit. Another reason you would use it, I guess I'll explain it now, is because when you're in bossing mode, or the quick stance, every time you hit an enemy, you gain 2 energy to your sword. So it's a good way to just charge your sword up. And when you're in the normal stance, for every enemy you defeat, you gain 5 energy. So that's, that's all I wanted to... That's what I forgot to explain in the beginning. Look at how cute you are. So cute. Let me fame you. This probably isn't going to make it into the video. Nope, I guess it will. I don't know. So next we have Hitokiri Strike. And this skill looks really cool. You dash past the enemies like you do with Dankusen, except now they don't take damage until you sheathe your sword. So hopefully I don't lag when I use it. There we go, sheathe the sword and it takes damage. So not only does it look cool, but you also get invincibility when using it, and it'll always crit, and it gives you a 45% increase to your crit rate, which doesn't actually show in your stat window, but it applies, believe me. Like when I attack here, I have 100% crit, because remember, I get the crit chance from being in bossing mode, but then there's a 45% chance from Hitokiri Strike, which gives me 100% when using attacks in this mode. So yeah. Just trust me. For some reason it doesn't show up in your stat window anymore, but it used to. I don't know why they stopped doing that. And yeah, it'll give you invincibility for 3 seconds. The cooldown is 90 seconds. Oh, the buff that it gives you, by the way, lasts for 40 seconds. The 45 crit rate. Here's a passive skill. Basically, when you avoid an attack, you get extra defense. Or the damage is reduced by 72%. Another passive. Akatsuki Hero is their Maple Warrior, so it'll buff you and your party by 15% all stats. And then we have Akatsuki Blossom, which is their Hero's Will, which gets rid of abnormal status on your character and prevents you from being, or makes you immune to abnormal status for 3 seconds. Eye for an eye. This skill is a toggle skill. And when you turn it on, when you take damage, you'll have a chance to do damage to enemies around you. So, if I were to dodge an enemy's attack, up to 6 enemies will take damage that are around me. There we go. So it's pretty good to be in the middle of a fight. And then we have another bleed status. You just, do extra... You basically make the enemy bleed. So you do, like, poison damage. Tornado Blade also has invincibility, and it drags enemies to you. So they're all around me, and I can drag them right in front of me. Also has invincibility. I think I already mentioned that. I'm just sounding like a parrot now. And it stuns them for 10 seconds at 100% chance. Sudden Strike gives you and your party members 20% damage to bosses. Or to enemies, actually. To all enemies, like bosses and normal enemies. It does 6 lines and hits 10 enemies. Hite says max enemies Hite. I never noticed that until now. It's supposed to say hit, but, whatever. Typos. And then we have another passive. So, something I forgot to mention, even though I did mention it. Every time you do a critical hit, you gain 4% HP. So this class actually has self-healing. Hold on, let me use Hitokiri Strike so I can heal myself a lot more. Okay, so yeah. It actually heals itself quite often. As long as you do critical hits. So yeah, you don't really have to worry about healing yourself as a Hayato. Too often anyway, at least in 3rd job and 4th job. So let's move on to the hyper passives. I didn't add into any of Shinsoku except for the +1 line because even though I don't really use the skill, when I do use it, like at Magnus or other enemies that are out of my reach sometimes, I want it to be more useful than if I didn't put anything into it. And then for Sudden Strike, I didn't put anything except for, again, +1 line, because when I use it, I want it to be strong, I guess. I mainly just use it for the debuff. And then Hitokiri Strike, I added all 3, because I want it to be strong, I want it to have less of a cooldown, and I want the buff to last longer. When you add into Persist, Hitokiri Strike Persist, it makes it so that the buff lasts as long as the cooldown. Well, if you have the cooldown cut as well. So I'm going to use the buff, and now I'll be able to use it as soon as the buff goes away. As you can see, they both have pretty much the same cooldown. Or the cooldown matches the buff duration, basically. And now we go into the active hypers. At 150, you get God of Blades. And this gives you 50 attack, which is the important part, and then the rest of it is just, 100 abnormal stats and 100 elemental resistance, which, it's alright. But I mainly use it for the 50 attack. By the way, that extra status that it gives you is actually really good for later on. 62% less abnormal status duration. It's really good. Anyway. So then at 170, we get Falcon's Honor. This skill used to be only for hitting like being a full screen attack. Not really full screen, but most of the screen. But they gave it another property. Every time you use it, you gain 100 energy to your sword. And the cooldown is very short, it's only 8 seconds, which means you can just charge your sword very, very quickly. And then of course at 1000 combo, or 1000 sword energy, you can use the ultimate attacks in beginner tab. And at level 200, you get Princess's Vow, which gives you and any other heroes in your party 10% damage, which also stacks with them, of course. When it says hero, I'm not too sure if they mean Sengoku heroes, as in Kana and Hayato, or if they mean like Maple heroes, like Evan, Mercedes, and so on. I'm not too sure about that, I haven't actually tested it. But yeah, that's it for the hypers. I believe I talked about the combos and everything already. So the only thing left is to go bossing. Let me do a little bit of training first. I just noticed that. Oh god, what is he talking about? Punishment. Oh, he noticed what I... Wait, I didn't say anything though. I don't know what he's talking about. So yeah, when training with this class... Oh, the fame. So when training with this class, I literally just press buttons. I mean, I know what buttons I'm pressing, but I like to use all of my skills. Well, most of my skills. I don't use shit, show to use 10 or anything. But I love just making this class seem very mobile. Because there's 2 ways to play this class. You can play it very flashy, using, a bunch of skills. Or you can play it the boring way, which still gets the job done, but I don't know. I don't like it too much, which is just holding down Sanodenzan. You could train like this, but eh. So anyway, let's move on to the bossing. So I should also mention, when using Hitokiri Strike, it has a long animation at the end of it. So you won't be able to move until you sheath your sword. But if you use Dankusen, then you can move. Pretty much right after you use a skill. You don't have to wait until you sheath your sword. As you can see here. So yeah. Moving on to bossing. So when bossing as a Hayato, I just like to make my energy get to 1000 so I can use the ultimate attacks. Or the ultimate attack. So now I just need to hit the enemy 1 more time, or yeah, 4 more times I think. And then of course you use Hitokiri Strike so I get the crit rate. Oh wait, where was the button for it? Was this? There we go. Ah, love that skill. It's just like Hitokiri Strike, like you dash all around, and then it doesn't actually take damage until you sheath your sword, and I love that. You know, maybe I'll use the 5th job skill. I mean, I do want to get my sword energy up, and it gives you 700 energy just for using it, which also does a lot of damage, by the way. Oh, okay, so I've been trying to save 5th job skills for like its own video series when I get both of the skills, but on my Hayato I do have both of the skills. So I mean, I guess it's fine if I show it, right? it's fine if I show it, right? I mean, you guys have always just wanted to see the 5th job skills, but I don't know, I felt like if I used one of the 5th job skills, you would want to see both of them. Because Hayato is one of the special cases where I actually do have both of the 5th job skills. But a lot of other classes I'm still waiting to get both 5th job skills, so I can make a video on them. Alright, so let's use God of Blades, I believe that was called, Hitokiri Strike, and I'm going to use my 5th job skill just so I do a lot of damage. Okay. And now I have 1000 sword energy. Oh, actually, did I take it off? Oh, I did. Hold on. And put on the other skill. So anyway, yeah, I just use Blade Flash when I boss. And usually I keep my distance, and I just attack from afar, but didn't feel like it that time. So yeah, there's the 2 5th job skills. I'll probably explain them in a separate video, but yeah, at least you got to see them, right? So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Goodbye!